Fable of the Lion and the Mouse. Once, while a weary lion was taking a nap, a playful mouse began running up and down the lion's paw. The lion was soon awakened by this annoyance. He placed his huge paw on the mouse and opened his big jaws.
How dare you awaken me, the king of beasts, from my nap? You are a wicked little mouse, and I'm going to eat you.
Of course, the little mouse was terribly frightened, but not so frightened that he could not think. Quickly he said,
Oh, Your Majesty, I meant no harm. If you will forgive me, I promise I will never forget your kindness, and will someday repay you by doing you a great favor.
Oh, I hardly think that the king of beasts would ever need the help of a tiny, insignificant mouse.
The lion was so amused at the thought of the mouse helping a great big lion that he decided to let the mouse go free.
Phew, that sure was a close one.
Sometime later, the lion was trapped by some hunters who tied him to a tree while they went to get a wagon to carry him to the city. By luck and by chance, the little mouse happened to pass by. When he saw the lion, he was frozen with fear. Then the little mouse recognized the lion as the one who had let him go free, and he remembered his promise to the lion. The little mouse quickly made up his mind to help the lion, just as he had promised. He immediately began to chew through the ropes.
Don't worry, Lion. My teeth are sharp. I will soon have you free.
In a very short time, the mouse had set the lion free.
Thank you, little mouse. You have saved my life.
A promise is a promise. I told you that someday I would repay your kindness and do a great favor for you. You see, little friends can be great friends.
The Fable of the Tortoise and the Hare. There was once a boastful hare who was so impressed with his speed that he believed no one could run as fast or as well as he could.
I'm the fastest of all the animals. The hunter's hounds cannot catch me. The fox cannot catch me. I am sure that no one can catch me. I can race anyone here and beat them easily.
How about racing with me?
Well, this is a joke. I could run circles around the likes of you.
If you think you're so good, why don't you prove it? When do you want to race?
Why not today? Just as soon as the other animals can set up a course for us. Then you'll see what speed is. I will even give you a head start.
The other animals eagerly gathered to watch the strange race. They could not imagine the poky tortoise racing the speedy hare.
Where will the race begin?
Well, why not begin here?
Yes, they can race to that big smoke tree at the edge of the desert road.
As soon as the course was set, most of the animals hurried to the finish line so that they could judge the winner of the race. A few of the animals stayed at the starting line. They giggled as the poor tortoise trudged slowly on his way. And the hare sat down and laughed out loud at the sight. The hare watched until the tortoise had crawled almost one giant hare leap. Then the hare took one bound and landed right in front of the slow-moving tortoise. He leaped and leaped again. Soon he was out of sight. Some of the animals stayed with the tortoise. Others ran and tried to catch up with the hare. The animals came upon the hare much sooner than they had expected, for he was so sure of himself that he had decided to take a rest until the tortoise was about to cross the finish line. In fact, the hare was sound asleep and dreaming how he would jump up and leap over the finish line in just one leap, just as the tortoise was about to win the race. And the tortoise? He plodded on and plodded on. For all he knew, the hare had already won the race. But he always finished whatever he started, so he plodded on. In time, the tortoise reached the sleeping hare. He continued on his way without disturbing his sleeping opponent. Soon the tortoise was ahead of the hare. It began to look as though the tortoise would win the race. All the animals began cheering so loudly that the noise woke the sleeping hare. The hare suddenly remembered the race. He jumped to his feet and leaped into the air. But it was too late. Even as the hare was right in the middle of his big jump, the tortoise plodded over the finish line. The defeated hare landed next to the tortoise, who turned to him and said,
Slow and steady wins the race.
The Fable of the Boy Who Cried Wolf. Once a young shepherd boy tended his sheep at the foot of a hill near a dark forest. He had become bored with his task and very lonely. An idea came to him that would certainly cause a great deal of excitement and might even bring him some company. The shepherd boy ran toward the village, shouting,
Wolf! Wolf! A wolf is after the sheep! Wolf! Wolf!
A wolf? Oh, I thought the wolves were all gone from the forest.
Yes, I thought we killed the last of them years ago.
Hurry up before it's too late! Of course, the townspeople didn't want anything to happen to their sheep. They dropped what they were doing, collected their weapons, and ran to help the shepherd boy. When they got to the hill, there was no wolf to be found. Afraid that the wolf might be hiding in the nearby forest, the villagers waited for him to come back. As they waited, they talked to the shepherd boy.
It looks as if we frightened him off this time.
We might as well get back.
Yes, but if we should come again, we'll be ready for him. Once again, the shepherd boy was alone.
There is no one to talk to me up here on this old hill. My trick worked once. Maybe it will work again. I might just call Wolf every few days.
A few days later, he decided to play his trick again. So off down the hill he ran.
Wolf! Wolf! The wolf is back! Come help me save the sheep!
Now we'll get that wolf.
He won't have time to run far this time.
Perhaps if we spread out, we'll have a better chance of getting him. How could he have gotten away so quickly?
I wonder if there really is a wolf.
Well, I'm not staying here another minute. I've got my own work to do. The shepherd boy could tell that the villagers were angry.
Just leave me one of these big clubs, and I will take care of the wolf if he comes back.
Everyone went back to the village, and the shepherd boy was left alone. It wasn't many days later that a wolf really did come. Even with his club, the shepherd boy couldn't drive the wolf away.
Wolf! Wolf! Come help me! A wolf is killing the sheep!
Surely that boy doesn't think we'll let ourselves be fooled again by his silly trick.
I'm too busy to run up that hill again. Soon the shepherd boy realized that the village people didn't believe he was really in trouble.
Oh, please! Please come and help me! There really is a wolf this time! Help me, please!
Still, no one came.
Come help me!
The shepherd boy kept crying for help.
Help! Help! The wolf has killed 3 sheep already! I'm sorry that I tricked you before! Please help me! Wolf! Wolf!
Finally, some of the villagers did come, but by this time the wolf was gone. One of the villagers turned to the shepherd boy.
This would not have happened if you had not played your silly trick. I hope you have learned a lesson from this young man. A liar will not be believed, even when he speaks the truth.
The Fable of the Fox and the Goat. One day, a crafty fox was walking past a deep, dark well. Perhaps he wasn't watching where he was going, because, by some unlucky chance, he fell right into the well. It appeared that there was no way for him to escape. But the fox was not ready to give up that quickly.
Now, if I think hard enough and wait long enough, I'll find a way to get out of this well. I think I hear my rescuer coming now. I must be very careful not to scare him away.
A goat, unaware of the plight of the fox, stopped to look into the well.
Hello. What are you doing down there?
Hello yourself. Haven't you heard about the drought?
Drought? What drought?
Very soon there will be no rain. Then there will be very little water for anyone. I plan to stay here so that I'll be sure to have water to drink.
That is a very good idea.
Why don't you come down and join me? You're welcome to share this water if you wish.
Without stopping to think at all, the goat eagerly jumped into the well. The fox immediately jumped on the goat's back. Before the goat could even guess what might be happening, the fox had climbed up on his horns and was ready to jump out of the well. The fox was free. Before starting down the road, he turned and looked down at the goat.
My friend, I have a word of good advice for you. Never trust the advice of a man in difficulty.
The Fable of the Milkmaid and Her Pail. One day a milkmaid was making her trip to market, carrying a pail of milk on her head. She was going to sell the milk at the market. As she walked along, she passed the time by talking to herself.
I will get a great deal of money for this milk at the market today. And with the money, I shall buy some chickens from the farmer. When the chickens lay eggs, I will sell the eggs to the parson's wife. Then I will have enough money to buy an exquisite dress and a beautiful hat. I will look so enchanting in my new dress and hat that all the young men will fight each other just so they can be the one to talk to me. And all the girls will be so jealous of me, they won't even talk to me. But that won't matter to me. I will just toss my head like this.
And as the poor milkmaid was thinking, she did indeed toss her head. And the pail was tossed at the same time. The milk went splashing to the ground.
Oh, alas, my milk is gone. Oh, what shall I do now? Oh, my poor milk. My poor chickens. Oh. All my wonderful eggs gone. All my money gone. Oh, poor me. I will never have that beautiful dress. Oh, there will be no young men fighting over me in the market. Oh, poor me. Gone. Everything is gone.
And so, sadly, the milkmaid had to go home and tell her mother what had happened.
Ah, my poor little milkmaid, don't cry. Perhaps you've learned a very good lesson today. Do not count your chickens before they are hatched.
The Fable about Belling the Cat. Long ago in a certain town, all the mice met together and tried to decide what to do about a certain cat. You see, the cat had been eating the mice one by one. Naturally, the mice wanted to put a stop to this. It seemed that everyone had an idea. And of course,
No one liked anyone else's idea.
Well, why don't we...
Why don't we try,
what are you talking about? Of course,
perhaps if we tried...
No, you're all wrong, absolutely wrong.
The mice were getting nowhere until one very young mouse decided to take charge of the meeting.
Surely you all agree that the real problem with the cat is that it is so sly. He really is not as fast as we are. He would never be able to catch us if we could hear him before he is ready to pounce. What we need to do then is to have a signal that will tell us when the cat is near. When we hear the signal, we could easily get away. There is really a very simple solution. We will tie a small bell around the cat's neck.
Very good.
this is a good idea.
Beautiful. Yes, it will.
Then we will always be able to tell when the cat is near, and we will have plenty of time to escape.
And who will bell the cat?
All the mice looked at each other, but no one spoke. No one wanted to be the one to bell the cat.
It would be nice to have the cat belled. But if no one is willing to do it, then the idea isn't a very good one, is it? Sure. No, it isn't very good. You see, it is easy to propose impossible remedies.
The Fable of the Town Mouse and the Country Mouse. Once a country mouse invited his town cousin to come for a visit.
Dear town mouse, please come to visit me. I am sure that you would enjoy a visit to the country. Your cousin, Country Mouse. It has been a long time since I've seen my cousin. I think I will go to visit him. I might enjoy the peace and quiet of the country.
So the town mouse quickly packed his bag and prepared for his trip. It was only a few miles to the home of the country mouse, but the distance seemed very great to the little town mouse. The country mouse was looking forward to the visit of his cousin, and he wanted everything to be just right so that the town mouse would enjoy himself. All day long, the country mouse scrubbed and cleaned. The country mouse even planned a delicious meal to serve his town cousin.
Let's say now, we'll have cider and popcorn when Town Mouse arrives tonight, biscuits and eggs for breakfast, my special baked beans.
At last, everything was ready, and just in time, too.
Come in, cousin. I am so glad you're here. You must be tired and hungry after your long trip. You rest in the big chair, and I'll fix you something to eat.
Thank you. I am a little tired.
Soon, the two cousins were enjoying a friendly chat.
It's so good to see you, cousin. It's been a long time since we've been together.
I'm glad you decided to come.
The town mouse and the country mouse went to bed early that night. It had been a very busy day for both of them. The country mouse awoke quite early the next morning and was glad to see that it was going to be a beautiful day. He dressed quickly and began to prepare breakfast for his guest.
Good morning, cousin. Did you sleep well?
Oh, yes. I feel wonderful this morning, and I am so hungry. It must be this fresh country air. Well, this breakfast was certainly different. I usually have French toast or waffles in the morning, but I must admit that I did rather enjoy it.
The country mouse packed a picnic lunch, and the two spent the morning exploring the countryside and enjoying the fresh air and the warm sunshine. The cousin stopped for lunch under a large tree.
Would you like some more cheese, cousin?
Yes, I think I will have some more. It's delicious. Is it imported from Holland or Switzerland?
Oh, we make it right here on the farm.
Oh, well, it's not bad for homemade.
After lunch, the country mouse took his cousin to meet some of his neighbors. The town mouse seemed to be very relaxed and happy. They were enjoying themselves so much that it was time for supper before they realized it. The country mouse was very proud of his baked beans. Many of his friends had asked for his special recipe.
These beans are very good, if you like baked beans. When I have company, I usually have roast turkey, or fried chicken, or shrimp. Why don't you come home with me, and I will show you what good food really is.
The very next day, the town mouse and the country mouse packed and were ready to go to the city. Late that evening, they arrived at the fine house where the town mouse lived. They were both tired and very hungry.
Well, let's put our luggage away, and then we can eat whatever we want from the table.
The cousins quickly put their bags away and hurried to the table to eat. The country mouse had never seen so many good things to eat.
What was that?
Oh, that's just the dogs barking.
Just the dogs? You mean they're here all the time?
And with that, the country mouse jumped off the table and ran toward the door just as the dogs came running in from the living room.
Where are you going?
I am going home.
It was a long time before the country mouse stopped running, and he made up his mind about one thing.
Better beans and bacon in peace than finer food in fear.
The Fable of the Man, the Boy, and the Donkey. Once a man and his son were going to market. They needed to carry many things home, so they took their fine donkey with them. Because they didn't go to market very often, when they did go, they always looked and listened to everything around them. As they walked along, they met a neighbor who was a farmer.
What's the matter with you two? Everyone knows that you're supposed to ride a donkey.
The man thought that the farmer's idea was a good one and quickly helped his son onto the donkey's back. They continued their journey, enjoying everything there was to see and hear.
Look at that lazy boy. He rides while his poor, hard-working father has to walk.
When he heard this, the man told his son to get off the donkey. Then he himself mounted the animal, and they were on their way again.
Oh, my. Just look at that lazy man. He rides while his poor little son has to walk. He ought to be ashamed of himself, making that poor little fellow walk.
The man was bothered by the woman's words and wondered what he should do. Then he lifted his son onto the donkey's back. They would both ride the donkey to market. Soon they came to the town and the market. The man and the boy had both eagerly looked forward to spending the day in town. As they approached the marketplace, the man and the boy could hear the mocking laughter of the crowd. The man became very angry and shouted,
Why are you all laughing at us?
The crowd suddenly became silent. One man finally stepped forward and spoke.
Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Making that poor animal carry such a heavy load? Why, you and that big boy of yours ought to be carrying that poor, tired donkey.
The poor man was more bewildered than ever. Eager to do the right thing, he cut a sturdy limb from a nearby tree.
I'll make a pole from this limb and we will tie the donkey's feet to it. That way we can easily carry him. Then nobody can say we are overworking the poor beast.
Never before had anyone seen a man and a boy carrying a donkey. The strange sight attracted a large crowd of curious spectators, and the sound of their laughter grew louder and louder. The crowd watched as the man and his son tried to carry their strange burden across a small, narrow bridge. Their efforts made the crowd laugh even louder than before. The sight of the large crowd and the sound of their laughter so frightened the poor donkey that he kicked free of the ropes which had held him and fell with a splash into the water below.
Oh, Father, I fear we have lost our donkey.
Yes, my son, our donkey is gone. But we have learned a hard lesson. When you try to please everyone, you please no one, not even yourself.
The Fable of the Frog and the Ox. One day, a small frog left his pond to explore the world. When he returned, he told his friend, the large frog, all about the wonderful things he had seen.
I have seen a terrible monster. It was taller than the tallest tree, and it had huge horns and a long tail.
The large frog was not at all impressed by the small frog's story.
When you have lived as long as I have, my little friend, you will learn not to be frightened by such things. What you saw was only the farmer's ox. And that ox is not so big. He may be somewhat taller than I am, but I can easily make myself as wide as he is. Watch. I will show you.
So the large frog took a deep breath and began to blow himself up. He blew, and he blew, and he blew.
Well, was he this big?
Oh, he was much bigger than that.
So the large frog began to blow himself up even bigger. He blew, and he blew, and he blew some more.
I'll bet that big ox wasn't this big.
Oh, he was much bigger than that.
The large frog continued to blow and puff and make himself larger and larger.
There. Surely that ox was not as big as...
The large frog never finished what he was saying, because right in the middle of the sentence, he burst. The large frog would be here today if he had only remembered that you can't make yourself into something you're not. One summer, a grasshopper was relaxing and having a wonderful time. All the food he could possibly want was free and very easy to get. He ate whatever he wanted whenever he felt like eating. He sang and he chirped and he basked in the sun all day long. Day after day, the grasshopper rested while his neighbor the ant worked. The ant kept busy the whole summer storing the food that he would need when the winter frosts came and killed the plants and the grass. The grasshopper simply could not understand why the ant was working so hard.
Why don't you rest, Ant? It's much too beautiful to work today. Forget about your work. Sit here and rest, and let's talk a while.
Oh, I can't stop now. Winter's coming, and my family and I will need a lot of food. You'd better get busy yourself and store some food, too.
Winter? Why should I bother about winter? Winter is so far away. Now it's summer, and I'm having a great time.
The ant wasted no more time on the lazy grasshopper and went busily on its way. Winter came early that year, and the grasshopper was cold and very, very hungry. He had prepared no place to spend the winter, and he had nothing at all to eat. Meanwhile, the ant family had a cozy, warm place to stay and all the food they needed. The ants had worked all summer, and they had nothing to do now but rest and enjoy their home and the food they had stored for the long, cold winter.
It's so cold and I'm so very hungry. Oh, I'm afraid it's going to be a long, hard winter.
Since the grasshopper had stored no food during the summer, all he could do now was search for a few seeds that might be hidden under the snow. Now the grasshopper wished with all his heart that he had listened to the ant. He realized that he had wasted his time during the summer. If he had only stored up some food.
At least I've learned my lesson. Hard work is the best provider.
The Fable of the Hare with Many Friends. There was once a hare who had many friends, or at least so it seemed. The 6 friends spent many evenings together and had many good times. One day, as the hare was enjoying a fine breakfast, he heard the excited barking of some hounds. He knew that they would soon be upon him, and he became very frightened. However, he was certain that his friends would help him escape. The hare quickly ran to his friend, the horse.
My friend, the hounds are after me. You're such a fast runner, and you could easily carry me on your back. Would you please take me far, far away from the hounds?
I do wish that I could help you, my friend, but my master has asked me to do some important work for him today. Oh, I couldn't possibly disappoint him. I'm sorry, but you have so many other friends, I'm sure someone else will be able to help you.
The hare quickly ran to find his friend, the bull.
Do you hear those hounds? They will surely catch me soon unless someone protects me. Please help me, Bull. When the hounds come, will you frighten them away with your horns?
Any other day, I would be only too glad to help you, my friend. But today, it is absolutely impossible. I have to meet someone, and I'm late now. Why don't you ask your friend the goat? Its horns are just as good as mine.
The frantic hare then hurried to find his friend, the goat.
Oh, the hounds are after me. The horse can't help because he has work to do. And the bull can't help me because he had to meet a friend. Won't you please help me? Please butt the hounds with your horns when they come.
I would be glad to help you, Hare, but it wouldn't do any good unless you were on my back. If you were on the ground, the other hounds would get you while I was butting one of them. I have been having so much trouble with my back lately that it would be impossible for me to carry you. The ram has a strong back. Why don't you ask him to save you?
The hare ran and ran until he found the ram.
The hounds are after me, and I need help. The horse can't help me because he has to work. And the bull was in a hurry to meet a friend, and the goat was having trouble with its back. Won't you please help me? You could ram the hounds with your horns when they come.
You know that I would be only too glad to help you, if only I could. Hounds have been known to eat sheep too, you know. I must hurry and find a place to hide before the hounds get here. I do wish you luck. Perhaps the calf could help you.
So the hare quickly ran to look for the calf.
Oh, calf, the hounds are after me. The horse cannot help me because he has work to do. And the bull was meeting a friend. And the goat is having trouble with its back. And the ram is afraid of the hounds. Oh, please, calf, can you help me? I just don't know what to do.
I'm terribly sorry that the hounds are chasing you, but I just can't become involved. Not when all your older friends have refused. I really am sorry.
By this time, the hounds were very near. There was only one thing for the little hare to do, and that's just what he did. He ran and ran, faster than he had ever run before. And luckily for him, he narrowly escaped the hounds.
Phew. Well, I have certainly learned something today. He that has many friends has no friends.
fox and the grapes. It was a hot, dry summer day as the fox walked down a country road. The fox had been walking a very long time and was getting very tired.
Oh, it's so hot. I gotta find a cool place to rest. My mouth and throat are so dry. Maybe I can find something cool and sweet to eat.
The fox saw the shady grape arbor and thought that it would be a fine place to rest. Then he looked up and saw a large cluster of plump, juicy-looking grapes.
Just smell those grapes. I can almost taste them. They're just the thing to make me feel refreshed.
The fox stood on his hind legs and stretched himself, trying to reach the grapes. But the plump, juicy fruit was just out of his reach. Then the fox decided to use his powerful legs to spring high into the air and seize the grapes. But the grapes hung on their cool green vine, safely out of the reach of the fox's hungry jaws. The poor fox backed away and took a running head start, thinking that this time he would surely get the cool, juicy grapes. But once again, the fox missed the grapes and dropped back to the ground. The fox thought and thought of a way to reach the grapes, but nothing seemed to work. Each time the fox tried for the grapes, he just missed them. The poor fox spent the rest of the day in vain trying to get the refreshing fruit. It was nearly dark when the exhausted fox limped slowly back to the road. He had had no rest and no grapes.
I didn't want those old grapes anyway. I just know they're sour.
And so the poor fox comforted himself without realizing that it is easy to dislike what you cannot have. This is the fable of the wolf in sheep's clothing. Once there was a wolf watching a flock of sheep grazing in the meadow below. He was most unhappy because he knew that he could not get to them. The sheep were guarded by an alert shepherd and his faithful dog. With these two on guard, the sheep grazed very contentedly, for they knew that they were safe. But the wolf, who liked nothing better than lamb or mutton, was determined that he would have a feast. The wolf had no luck at all, for the shepherd and the dog were always on guard. They could recognize the wolf the instant that he came near the sheep. As the wolf grew hungrier, he also grew more desperate.
There must be a way to get those sheep. I know I am as clever as that dog, and I know I am much smarter than that shepherd. After all, he's just a human.
But it was always the same. The wolf would try to get the sheep, and instead would be chased and pelted with stones.
Just look at me. I'm nothing but skin and bones. I must have some food or I will surely die. I must think of a plan that will outsmart the shepherd and his dog.
Now, quite by accident, the hungry wolf discovered a sheepskin, all that was left of an unfortunate sheep that had been killed and eaten by a band of robbers.
What's this? A sheepskin? I think this may be the solution to my problem. Yes! I think this will do nicely. No one would know me now, not even the shepherd or his dog.
And quickly the wolf set out for the meadow and his feast of lamb and mutton. The wolf was congratulating himself on his cleverness as he boldly moved among the sheep, trying to decide which one would begin his meal.
There is my supper. Just a few more steps and I'll have him. Oh, I can hardly wait. Oh, I'm so hungry.
But the clever wolf was just a little too clever for himself. In his greed, the wolf did not see a low branch which caught the sheepskin and pulled it off.
Just a few more steps and I'll have a tasty little supper.
But the wolf in sheep's clothing was still a wolf. Without his disguise, he was easily recognized. The shepherd and his dog drove the wolf from the meadow. Forgetting his hunger, the frightened wolf ran and ran until he was far away.
Now I know that the shepherd and his dog are more clever than I. They were not fooled by the fact that looks are often deceiving.
This is the fable of the goose and the golden eggs. One morning, a farmer was gathering eggs as he did every day. But this morning, something was different. In the goose's nest, he found a bright yellow egg which glittered as he picked it up.
What's this? Oh, it looks like an egg, but it is so heavy. It feels like lead. Someone has played a stupid joke on me.
The farmer was about to throw the egg away when he suddenly had a thought.
This is a rather pretty trinket. Look how it glitters in the sun. Oh, I think I will take it to market. Perhaps someone will buy it for a decoration. I have something here that you might... Gold. Pure, solid gold. Look here, everybody. The farmer has a golden egg.
An egg, you say? No, it couldn't possibly be. What is he talking about?
Gold? This is gold? Why, I shall be rich.
Each morning, the farmer went to the goose's nest, and each morning he found a single golden egg waiting for him. The farmer wondered who would be playing such a trick on him. He searched his barn to see if a prankster was hiding there.
Surely no one would play a joke like this. Some kind friend is giving me this gold for being such a good neighbor.
But the farmer should have known that he was not receiving a gift from a neighbor, for he had never been a good neighbor. The farmer grew wealthy from the golden eggs, and as his wealth grew, so did his greed. Each day, the farmer searched his barn, but he no longer searched for a benefactor. Instead, he searched suspiciously for anyone who might be trying to steal his golden eggs. In time, the farmer came to realize that by some strange trick of fate, it was his goose who each day laid the single solid gold egg.
I am becoming a wealthy man, but it will take too long to double or triple my wealth if I must wait for a single egg each day. Perhaps I could have all of the eggs at once.
And so the foolish farmer killed the goose and frantically searched the bird for the gold which was used to make the golden eggs.
Nothing. Nothing at all. There is no gold. And now the goose is dead, and there will be no more golden eggs. There is nothing.
The farmer, in his greed and foolishness, had taught himself a bitter lesson. A poor man wants much. A greedy man wants everything. This is the fable of the dog and the manger. One bright summer day, a dog was wandering around trying to find a place to take his afternoon nap. It was very cool inside the barn. The dog looked at the manger which held the straw to feed the farmer's oxen, and he thought what a comfortable bed the straw would make. The hay was fresh and sweet-smelling.
Oh, I can rest very comfortably here. I'll just settle down for a nice little nap.
Soon the dog was sound asleep, dreaming of food and all the things which would make him content. The dog thought himself very lucky to have found such a fine place to dream his happy dream. Just at that moment, an ox came into the barn to eat some of the sweet hay in the manger. The ox was surprised to find the sleeping dog right in the middle of the hay.
What are you doing in this hay? The farmer has put it here for the farm animals to eat.
Well, what do you mean by waking me from my sleep with foolish talk about eating hay? You don't eat hay, you sleep on it. Now you've made me angry. This is my manger. I was here first. Go away and let me go back to sleep.
It's not your manger, it's mine. And it's my hay, and I'm hungry.
Each time the poor ox tried to get to the hay, the dog snarled and barked and tried to bite him. Finally, the ox gave up. He knew that he would have none of the sweet, fresh hay to eat. Slowly, the ox turned and walked out of the barn.
What a dumb animal he is to think that he could eat this hay.
And the dog went peacefully back to sleep. He still dreamt of the food and the other things which would make him content. He had no thought of the ox, who had to do without the hay that would make him content. As the poor ox had to make do with what little food he could find, he realized that he had learned something that day. We often deny others that which we cannot use ourselves. This is the fable of the trumpeter who was taken prisoner. Many years ago, two kingdoms existed side by side. One was a peaceful kingdom, but the other was quarrelsome and warlike. One day, the people of the warlike kingdom decided that they would attack and conquer their peaceful neighbors. The people of the peaceful kingdom armed themselves and prepared to defend their homes, but they were not sure that they could drive off their warlike enemies. As they waited for the attack to begin, the people heard the stirring sound of a trumpet. They looked around and saw a young trumpeter standing beside the banner of their kingdom. At the sight of the trumpeter, standing bravely beside their banner, the people felt their hearts swell with pride. At the sound of the trumpet, they became determined to defend their kingdom and win the battle. And so the battle began. The warlike forces were sure that they would win an easy victory. As they prepared to attack, they were startled by the bright, clear, ringing tones of the trumpet. The defenders fought bravely, but they were not accustomed to the ways of war. It soon appeared that the warlike invaders would win the battle and enslave the peaceful people. Only the young trumpeter continued to believe that his people were able to defend themselves and drive back the invaders. With a mighty effort, he blew a loud, long, stirring trumpet call. Inspired by the trumpet, the defenders made one last effort and succeeded in driving the invaders away in confusion. The people of the warlike kingdom made camp and planned their next move. They stayed for days just watching the peaceful people below. The people of the peaceful kingdom believed that the war had been won with a single victory and went quickly back to their fields and their flocks. The trumpeter, too, went back to peaceful work. He went to the hills to cut trees and chop them into logs so that he could sell firewood to his neighbors. He did not know that the enemy was closing in on him as he worked. Taken by surprise, the trumpeter was captured and taken to the enemy camp to face the leader of the army.
You are our enemy, and you must be executed. I am not a warrior, and I am not very brave. I did you no harm. I only played my trumpet and stood by my country's flag. You might not be a warrior, trumpeter, but you encouraged your countrymen, and you made them strong enough to defeat us. However, I admire your strength and courage, and will spare your life, little trumpeter.
The leader of the warlike forces released the trumpeter to tell the peaceful people that there would be no more battles and no more war. He had realized an important truth. Brave words may be brave deeds. This is the fable of the dog and his shadow. One day, as a butcher was busy preparing his meat for the day's business, a stray dog happened to come into his shop. The butcher, a kind man with a generous heart, saw that the stray dog was hungry and gave him a large piece of scrap meat.
Here you are, old fellow. You'll enjoy this.
Fearing that the butcher might take back the meat scraps, the greedy dog ran from the shop as quickly as he could. The dog was determined to reach his own home as quickly as possible. He had no intention of sharing his food with any other animal. He would have it all himself. The greedy dog passed a group of small puppies. It was easy to see that the puppies were hungry. They would not have eaten very much, but the dog would not share his food with them. To reach his home, the dog had to cross over a narrow stream by means of a wooden plank bridge. As he crossed the bridge, the dog happened to look down at the stream and saw his reflection. In his greedy mind, the dog believed that his reflection was really another dog who seemed to be carrying a piece of scrap meat even larger than the one he himself was carrying. The greedy dog was busy thinking about that larger piece of meat.
If I am quick and clever, I can snatch this dog's food, and then I will have it and my own too.
And so the greedy dog crouched down and prepared to snatch the food from the other dog to satisfy his own greed. As the foolish dog opened his jaws to snatch the other scrap of meat, his own scrap went splashing into the stream. In an instant, the other dog was gone, and the other meat was gone. Sadly, the dog realized that in his greed, his own food had been lost too. The greedy dog was much sadder, but a little wiser as he crossed the bridge on his way home.
Now I have to go home hungry and with no food. I should have known that you can often lose what you have by grasping at shadows.
This is the fable of the lion and the statue. Long ago, when man and beasts could speak with each other, a man and a lion were having a discussion.
As I was saying, friend lion, it is useless to discuss the point. Man is much stronger than the animals. He is stronger even than the lions. No offense, my friend.
I don't wish to argue with you, old friend, but I would remind you that it is the lion who is called the king of beasts.
Perhaps I can show you what I mean. Let's walk away. I have several things I want to show you.
The man showed the lion sights that would prove his point.
Look at these wrestlers. As you can see, they are the strongest of creatures. And over there, that man has great wisdom and knowledge. Only man has such intelligence and ability. And man has the ability to use his strength and his knowledge together to accomplish many things. You see, friend lion, man is the most perfect of creatures.
You have convincing proof, my friend, but now you must listen to me.
And so it was the lion's turn to present his evidence.
In all the forest, there is no animal more intelligent or stronger than the lion. All animals acknowledge the lion as the king of beasts.
As the man and the lion walked on, they came upon an ancient statue of a mighty warrior defeating a fierce, powerful lion.
There, friend lion, is my final proof. You see, even the lion is no match for man.
It is a beautiful statue, my friend, but it proves nothing. After all, the statue was made by a man.
In this case, it was the lion who was smarter than the man, For the lion knew an important truth. We see things as we want them to be, not as they really are.